After a brutal loss on Saturday, the Mets bounced back with a win to avoid a series sweep by the Marlins in Miami on Sunday. Let's talk some Mets baseball. We're going to do it with the executive producer of New York Post Sports Podcast and Mets superfan, my guy Jake Brown, who joins me now. He's got a shirt on, looking like he's ready to start vacation after the Knicks are about to go on vacation. Jake, how you doing, man?
1, 2, 3, Cancun. The only beach I'm going to is Pig Beach, probably in Astoria, to eat some ribs. No beach trip for me. It looks like I'm going to one, but I'm still recovering from an infuriating Knicks loss, but a fun season, and it's on to the Mets and the Rangers now.
Yeah, on to the Mets. We're going to talk about the other team wearing blue and orange in New York that plays baseball, because the Islanders do that as well. But, Jake, the Mets, they got big offensive contributions from Harrison Bader, Tyrone Taylor, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, all chipping in Sunday's win. How big was it for the Metropolitans to get this win after blowing what looked like a win on Saturday?
Yeah, they needed this win because this was a team, at least for this season, that hit rock bottom on Saturday. This was the bottom of the barrel. This was trade everyone, season's over. Steve Cohen's deleted tweet. You know, they're focused on the trade deadline. It's over. They had to come back with a win. And, you know, after obviously the implosion by Edwin Diaz once again, the bats came alive again. And, you know, they needed this because Saturday they scored 9 runs. They switched up the lineup. And they're up and still find a way to lose. And you're like, can they do anything right? And Sunday they did. They get Sean Manaea, another good performance out of him. The bullpen does a good job. Reed Garrett was nasty with a 6-out save. So this is something they needed, and I love that Carlos Mendoza changed the lineup. I don't like Brandon Nimmo in the leadoff spot. Never did. The guy doesn't steal bases. Why is he hitting leadoff? I like Francisco Lindor there. The guy steals some bases. Maybe that gets him going. You move Nimmo down to the order. What does he do? He's homers. Like 9 runs Saturday, 7 Sunday, 16 runs in 2 days with a new lineup. Maybe it works. I like that Mendoza tried something different, and it sparked the Mets on Sunday in a game. They had to win over a Marlins team that stinks. I mean, the Marlins are one of the worst teams in baseball. It's already ridiculous they lost the series. There was no way you could get swept in this.
Yeah, good job by the Mets to avoid the sweep there. But when we talk about the series, we got to talk about Edwin Diaz because he's blown 3 of his last 4 save chances, gave up the lead on Saturday in the Mets loss that we talked about. He was not used in a save situation on Sunday. Did you agree with the decision by Mendoza to not use Diaz? And does Diaz need some time to refocus before his next save opportunity?
Yeah, Edwin Diaz can't be the closer right now. Plain and simple. He's not your closer, at least for the short term. This is going to take at least, let me say, 2 weeks for you to bring Diaz back. He's got to get into lower leverage roles to gain his confidence back. It is a telling sign that Edwin Diaz said after the game Saturday, my confidence isn't there. I'm not confident in my ability to get hitters out. So why would you trot him out there today? Why would you trot him out there tomorrow? Let him get 4 or 5 appearances in the 7th inning, 8th inning. Maybe you're losing a game, you're winning a game, you're up 8-0. Let him get his pitches back and his mojo back, because this is the Edwin Diaz that we saw the first year that had me trade him for a rare pack of Dunkaroos at the time. And I looked dumb saying that the last couple of years when the Timmy Trumpet, the show, the Mr. Automatic, outside of last year, and obviously the WBC. I mean, that's the other layer of this. I mean, let's just stop with that. We know the WBC stunk. It's annoying. I don't think we could still look back at that as the reason for Edwin Diaz's struggles. So I'm not going to be one of the Met fans that says it was the damn WBC that ruined it for Edwin Diaz. That's old news at this point. We got to get over that. But Edwin Diaz needs to go to a lower leverage role, get his confidence back, and then he'll be back. The team's got his back. Mets fans, we have his back. He's been remarkable outside of that first year for this team, and the Mets need him if they want any shot of making the playoffs. So I believe Edwin Diaz will be back, but for now, he's got to get his confidence back, and that's coming in 7th inning, maybe some mop-up duty.
We will see if he can get his confidence back, but Jake, I'm still shocked. You wanted to trade him for a, quote, rare pack of Dunkaroos. Really?
Well, Dunkaroos at the time were hard to find. You had to go down to like Maryland to get them, and Dunkaroos were a staple of anyone my age, your age, our childhood. So at the time, Edwin Diaz was pitching like a bodega snack that you couldn't find, and I'm glad he's turned that around for the most part.
He's turned around for the most part. All right, so let's move on to this because the Mets are now 21-25 on the season. They're going to head to Cleveland for 3 games before returning home to host a 3-game set with the Giants. What will you be keeping your eye on with the team this coming week?
Yeah, this is an interesting week for the Mets because the Guardians are a 30-win team. I mean, they're 30-17. They've been remarkable this season. It is a homecoming for Francisco Lindor the first time he goes back to Cleveland. And it's a big week for Francisco Lindor. He moves up to the leadoff spot, gets a couple hits on Sunday, but we've heard this song and dance before where Lindor has a game or two, he's got a couple of hits, and then he goes an 0 for again. He's hitting under 200. It's about to be May 20th. He's got to change that. I mean, he cannot hit 200, sub 200. You just can't do it. So I'm curious, maybe Lindor gets a spark here going back to Cleveland and getting a nice ovation from that fan base. Maybe that gets him going. So that's something I'm watching for. Tyler McGill, he's coming back on Monday. A longer injury than I think we thought, but developed a new pitch in AAA now to the point where he's got a 7-pitch arsenal. I want to see if McGill can be a consistent starting pitcher in a rotation that the Mets might try and go 6 men with. And that will all depend a lot on the guy who pitches Tuesday. That's Adrian Hauser, who gets another shot, maybe his last, in the rotation to show, hey, I belong here, Carlos. Like, keep me in the rotation, because he's been terrible. I mean, he's a guy you would trade for Dunkaroos at this point with the way that he's pitched. So I'm curious to see Hauser if he could turn it around. I'm curious to see McGill, how he looks coming back. And the Mets Tuesday, an old friend, Cookie Carrasco. They know him well. They go up against him. I'd like to see what they do there. And then Wednesday, Jose Quintana has been really bad. And that's one of these guys in the rotation who's been consistently awful. And he's got to turn this around for the Mets because he was your opening day starter. You rely on Jose Quintana to give you a quality start, and he hasn't been that. So Jose Quintana's got to turn this around. Let's see what you get out of Hauser. Let's see what you get out of McGill. And let's see this new lineup. 2 days in a row. Great job offensively. Production was there. Get J.D. Martinez back. I know the flu and sickness was going around in the clubhouse. Get all these guys back. Let's see if the lineup stays hot, and let's see how the bullpen plays out with an Edwin Diaz not as a closer, because I'll be intrigued to see if they use some Reed Garrett this week in a 6-out kind of closer role, because his splitter looked nasty on Sunday, and I think the Mets are going to have to mix and match Ottavino, Garrett, maybe Diekman, and see who else can give them the final 3 outs, because that was something that was automatic. And now it hasn't become automatic for the Mets.
It definitely has not been that. We will see how this week unfolds for the Mets, who I said right now are 4 games below 500. That is Jake Brown, executive producer of New York Post Sports podcast. Also, great Mets fan looking for Dunkaroos. Jake, always appreciate talking some Mets baseball with you. We'll do this soon. Again?
Yeah, I've had enough Dunkaroos in my life, so I'm going to take a break.
Take a break. Dunkaroos, not really a big favorite snack of mine, ever. Not really a big Dunkaroos guys, but glad you were able to enjoy them and you didn't trade Edwin Diaz for a pack of those. Glad you did it.
For now.
For now. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks.